Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the reading today. We've just finished the daily study, been mainly in the book of Daniel and Revelation. So, if you have a chance, please go check it out. And I hope it helps you with your own studies, so that you can perhaps dive deep in and reach your own interpretation of what is going on in the Bible and where we're headed. So Ecclesiastes 9, let's start reading. Death comes to all. But all this I laid to heart, examining it all, how the righteous and the wise and their deeds are in the hand of God. Whether it is love or hate, man does not know. Both are before him. It is the same for all, since the same event happens to the righteous and the wicked, to the good and the evil, to the clean and the unclean, to him who sacrifices and him who does not sacrifice. As the good one is, so is the sinner, and he who swears is as he who shuns an oath. So death comes to all. It comes to the righteous and the unrighteous. It's part of life, right? It's part of life, and it's part of this broken, fallen world. It was never intended for us, death, you see. And through Jesus, we've now been brought back to that same state. That's why some people refer to Jesus as the final Adam in a way, because we see that, and I don't know if I subscribe to that, like saying that, but essentially he's brought everything back to the garden again through this new creation. So it means that we're in a restored relationship like Adam was, and before Adam and Eve sinned. So being in that restored relationship then implies that we're in this time awaiting for, I guess, the purification or the cleansing of the world by fire, a little bit like in the days of Noah where it was by flood. It will be by fire this time, and we see all things will come to ruin, right? All things of the wicked will be plucked up, and all things will come to that end point, and then this kingdom of righteousness will be fulfilled. The kingdom will be fully here, fully manifest. The kingdom comes already through Jesus now as his new creation. So the kingdom comes within you, right? So you receive the kingdom through Jesus, and you receive, like, you're part of the kingdom. You're part of a builder for Christ. Spiritually, you're building his house and building his kingdom, even though we can't see it, even though it's invisible to us. That's what we're doing. We're building his kingdom. And therefore, if the kingdom hasn't yet fully manifest, it means that there's just more building to go until it's finished. And that's essentially it. Now, how is it built? Well, it's built by the stones in the city. We're like living stones that are basically piled up on top of each other. It's built by God's people. And so a kingdom isn't complete until all God's people are complete. And until the city of gold can't be completed until all people are refined like gold. And we've just been talking about this a little bit in our previous study about the time how everybody has to go through their own sanctification or refinement. So if you don't, you're unrefined. So you'll be less than brass, right? Or bronze, sorry. You'll be less than bronze. But if you're refined, then, even a bit, you'll be refined by like bronze, a bit more like silver. But when your refinement is complete and you're like Jesus, you're righteous, you're straight and true, you'll be refined like gold. Well, your faith has been tested to that nth degree that you become like gold. And so therefore, that city of gold represents the entirety of God's people coming in with their completion of refinement. They've all through faith faithfully endured and conquered. So they've overcome the world, overcome the devil, and they've overcome, and therefore their reward for their faithfulness by faith, of course, by believing in the Son, is eternal life. So it's not just, faith isn't just this one-time deal where we just say the words and that's it. We can just go and live back in the world. No, it requires us to come fully out of the world. It requires us to literally submit to God's ways and to follow him until our end, whatever end that may be. So we have to faithfully endure until the end, and that is the deal, right? That's what he says. If you love me, keep my commandments. Well, no one who doesn't love God is going to enter God's house, right? So, and how do we love God? Well, we have to love each other. In order to love each other, we have to willfully submit to his commandments. It's circular. So we understand death comes to all. It doesn't matter whether you're good or evil. The man is permitted to die once, subject to die once, and so we'll all face that at some point. So as the good one is, so is the sinner, and he who swears is as he who shuns an oath. This is an evil in all that is done under the sun, that the same event happens to all. Also, the hearts of the children of man are full of evil. So, Solomon is basically saying here, it's evil because it doesn't seem to be right. Right? It's not right that the righteous and the unrighteous both die. Why wouldn't it be just the unrighteous that die? Also, the hearts of the children of man are full of evil, and madness is in their hearts while they live, and after they go to the dead. So we see that these corrupted hearts he's referring to, there's madness in their hearts, which is kind of a way of saying that there's corruption in there. But he who is joined with all the living has hope, for a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. So once again, once you check out of the race, that's it. Like, you have no more input into this world anymore. So you become a memory to people. And that's because that's you're not reincarnated and all that nonsense that these other religions teach. You live once and then you go to the Father, and there's no way back. There's a good depiction of this in the movie The Pilgrim's Progress, where they see the giant waters and they have to dive through them, and that's a wall that you can't go back from, right? Once you dive through there, which represents death, you can't go back. There's no going back unless God permits it, and that essentially is it. Once your time is up and God says, yeah, your time's up, you're finished, and therefore you will enter into that full the full manifestation of heaven, right? You're going to be present with the Lord, but you don't, those secrets that are in heaven, of all the knowledge and understanding of all these things, they're not permitted for man, right? They're not permitted for man. So Paul said, I knew a man above 14 years ago, whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know. And he was talking about how he was given this revelation, and this revelation, he was in heaven, but he wasn't sure whether he was physically there or whether it was just in the spirit, in a dream, because ultimately it felt so real to him that he couldn't discern which it was. Was he there, or was he taken there, or was he, how, he doesn't know. He can't tell. But he was given revelation so great that man could not utter the words. So he knew that there were things that he was told that he couldn't ever share. Things that he was told that he could never divulge or to anybody. And so we understand it's just likened to someone who enters into death, is that they're going to, meet God. They're going to meet their maker. And therefore they're not permitted to come back into the world once they've reached that point. So once you enter into God's house, that's it. You're in God's house, and that's the end of it. So their love and their hate and their envy have already perished, and forever they have no more share in all that is done under the sun. So unfortunately, when we die, and we don't have any more share in anything of this world. Enjoy life with the one you love. Go eat your bread with joy, and drink your wine with a merry heart, for God has already approved what you do. Let your garments be always white, let not oil be lacking on your head. Enjoy life with the wife whom you love all the days of your vain life, like your fleeting or vapor-like life that he has given you under the sun, because that is your portion in life and in your toil at which you toil under the sun. Whatever your hands find to do, do it with your might, for there is no work or thought or knowledge or wisdom in Sheol, to which you are going. Right, so what he's talking about here is that because we will all face death, And you could interpret this in a couple of ways. So one is like, obviously we all face death. So whatever you find to do, like God has given you your lot in life. This is your lot. Yeah, it's as good as it gets, essentially. Um, and he's saying do it with your might, but it sort of seems to be focused on self here a little bit in this passage. There's no work or thought of knowledge or wisdom in Sheol, to which you're going, right? So if it seems like he's kind of sarcastically saying, um, oh, why don't you just go and live? Because we're all going to die anyway, and then we're all going to die anyway, and there's whatever your hand finds to do, just go and do it. Do it with all your efforts, because you're going to end up in Sheol, right? Anyway, so there's no knowledge or wisdom there. So you could read this in a few different ways, but I think it's ultimately saying we're given our portion. We will all face death. God has permitted us to do. He's already approved our lives and what we're doing, and ultimately, glorify Him in all your actions, and understand that this is part of our lot. And Adam and Eve were told, you will toil for bread, and we understand that that's the punishment of that, and also we're condemned. So without Jesus, that's where we will go. We will go to Sheol. But we know that that's not where we're going if we believe in Him. But if we just toil endlessly in this world and we don't believe in Jesus, then yes, we are going to Sheol. Wisdom better than folly. Again, I saw that under the sun the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the intelligent, nor favor to those with knowledge, but time and chance happen to them all. For man does not know his time, like fish that are taken in an evil net, and like birds that are caught in a snare, so the children of man are snared at an evil time, when it suddenly falls upon them. So he's using the word evil here to sort of depict this sense of, I guess, unfairness again, or this sense of being taken by surprise. Like there's no sense of predictability on when it could happen to you. I've also seen this example of wisdom under the sun, and it seemed great to me. There was a little city with few men in it, and a great king came against it and besieged it, building great siege works against it. But there was found in it a poor, wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no one remembered that poor man. But I say that wisdom is better than might, though the poor man's wisdom is despised and his words are not heard. So Solomon's saying, to be wise and to follow God's word and to fear the Lord, and keep His commandments and follow Him, it's far better than to try and be mighty in your flesh, right? It's better than might. But no one remembered this poor wise man who used his wisdom. Instead, they would remember someone mighty and physically, appealing, but not this poor man. The words of the wise heard in quiet are better than the shouting of a ruler among fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. So obviously we're not walking in wisdom if we're sinning, are we? Dead flies make the perfumer's ointment give off a stench. So a little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. So the sin itself, it outweighs it. It cancels it out, essentially. When we sin, it cancels out wisdom because we haven't been wise. A wise man's heart inclines him to the right, but a fool's heart to the left. Even when the fool walks on the road, he lacks sense, and he says to everyone that he is a fool. If the anger of the ruler rises against you, do not leave your place, for calmness will lay great offenses to rest. So there is an evil that I've seen under the sun, as it were an error proceeding from the ruler. Folly is set in many high places, and the rich sit in a low place. I have seen slaves on horses and princes walking on the ground like slaves. He who digs a pit will fall into it, and a serpent will bite him who breaks through a wall. He who quarries stones is hurt by them. I like that one. And a serpent will bite him who breaks through a wall. It reminds me of the passage of, I think is it Ezekiel or Jeremiah? Tells him to like bust open the wall and carry his bag on his shoulder, I think. Where is that? I think it's Jeremiah. No, maybe it's Ezekiel. Is it Ezekiel? It's one of the prophets. It might even be Isaiah after saying that. Oh, it's one of them. I know it's one of them. Somewhere. No. Which prophet was asked to carry his bags? Might have been, yeah, I think it's Ezekiel. Let's go to Ezekiel 12, verse 3. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Ezekiel 12, verse 3. Yeah, like dig through the wall. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's just read it anyway. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, you dwell in the midst of a rebellious house, who have eyes to see, but see not, who have ears to hear, but hear not, for they are a rebellious house. So remember the calling of uh, Ezekiel's calling is to go and speak to the rebellious house. They won't hear you. They're not of a hard language or hard hearing. They speak English, well, they speak your language, but they are a rebellious house, and they will, they are of hard hearing, because they won't hear your words, even when you speak it to them. As for you, son of man, prepare for yourself an exile's baggage, and go into exile by day in their sight. So we see with Ezekiel, he had to perform these outward signs or symbols of, it's like this street performance of these things, right? Symbolically. I mean, Jeremiah also had this in a little instance, a few instances too. You shall go like an exile from your place to another place in their sight. I think Isaiah had to walk naked for a period of time too, for several years or something. Perhaps they will understand, though, they are a rebellious house. You shall bring out your baggage by day in their sight as baggage for exile, and you shall go out yourself at evening in their sight, as those who must go into exile. So basically he's saying bring out your bags. You know, it's a way of like pack your bags. The enemy's going to take you, and you're going to have to go and live with them. So it's this outward symbol. In their sight, dig through the wall and bring your baggage out through it. In their sight, you shall lift the baggage up upon your shoulder and carry it out at dusk. You shall cover your face that you may not see the land, for I have made you a sign for the house of Israel. And so it's so interesting. And I did as I was commanded. I brought out my baggage by day as baggage for exile, and in the evening I dug through the wall with my own hands. I brought out my baggage at dusk, carrying it on my shoulder in the sight. In the morning the word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, has not the house of Israel, the rebellious house, said to you, what are you doing? Say to them, thus says the Lord, the oracle concerns the prince in Jerusalem, and all the house of Israel in it. I am a sign for you, as I've done, so shall be done to them. They shall go into exile, into captivity, and the princes among them shall lift his baggage upon his shoulder at dusk and shall go out. So that's Zedekiah. They shall dig through the wall to bring him out through it. He shall cover his face, he may not be seen in the land with his eyes. He may not see the land with his eyes. And I'll spread my net over him, and he shall be taken in my snare. And I'll bring him to Babylon, the land of Chaldeans, yet he shall not see it, and he shall die there. And I'll scatter towards every wind all who are around him, his helpers and all his troops, and I'll unsheathe the sword after them. And they shall know that I am the Lord when I disperse them among the nations and scatter them from the countries. So the king at the time of Babylon, I think it's Zedekiah, he tries to run away and hide, like escape through this secret tunnel, and essentially it catches up with him and they capture him and they put out his eyes, and essentially, he who digs a pit will fall into it, and a serpent will bite him who breaks through a wall. So it certainly happened to him, didn't it? He certainly got bitten by a serpent. He certainly got bitten by the enemy. He got killed. and that was God's judgment upon him. He who quarries stones is hurt by them, and he who splits logs is endangered by them. If the iron is blunt and one does not sharpen the edge, he must use more strength, but wisdom helps one to succeed. So iron sharpens iron, as we understand. We sharpen one another through strength, not our own strength, but strength of the word. And therefore, if we use a blunt axe, I'm sorry, if we use a blunt axe, it takes far more effort, right, to lop down a tree or to do any sort of sense of damage to anything. So therefore, we have to be sharp, right? We have to be sharp on the word. We have to be sharp in our faith. We have to be, vigilant and diligent. And we must also remain on fire for Christ as well. Wisdom helps one to succeed. If a serpent bites before it is charmed, there is no advantage to the charmer, right? Because the charmer's supposed to show that he's able to control the serpent. But if the serpent bites him, then what is he really controlling? Pretty wise. The words of a wise man's mouth win him favor, but the lips of a fool consume him. The beginning of the words of his mouth is foolishness, and the end of his talk is evil madness. A fool multiplies words, though no man knows what is to be, and who can tell him what will be after him. The toil of a fool wearies him, for he does not know the way of the city. Woe to you, O land, when your king is a child, and your princes feast in the morning. Happy are you, O land, when your king is the son of the nobility, and your princes feast at the proper time, for strength and not drunkenness. Through sloth the roof sinks in, and through indolence the house leaks. Bread is made for laughter, and wine gladdens life, and money answers everything. Even in your thoughts do not curse the king, nor in your bedroom curse the rich, for a bird of the air will carry your voice, or some winged creature to tell the matter. There's a lot of really eye-opening things in here, and I think I can't do it justice to break some of these down, so I've just sort of left them. But yeah, it's something to ponder. All right, just having a drink 1 second. All right, so cast your bread upon the waters. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Give a portion to 7 or even to 8, for you know not what disaster may happen on the earth. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves on the earth. And if a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it will lie. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. As you do not know the way the Spirit comes to the bones in the womb of a woman with child, so you do not know the work of God who makes everything. In the morning sow your seed, and at evening withhold not your hand. For you do not know which will prosper, this or that, or whether both alike will be good. Light is sweet, and it is pleasant for the eyes to see the sun. So if a person lives many years, let him rejoice in them all. But let him remember that the days of darkness will be many. All that comes is vanity. Rejoice, O man, young man, in your youth, and let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart and the sight of your eyes, but know that for these things God will bring you into judgment. So this kind of goes back to the other passage where he says, live your life, do whatever by all you might, but know that, and essentially it was saying, you're going into Sheol. God will bring you into judgment. Remove vexation from your heart and put away pain from your body, for youth and the dawn of life are vanity. Remember your Creator in your youth. Remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come, and the years draw near, of which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened, this is before Jesus comes, and the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men are bent, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those who look through the windows are dimmed. and the door on the street are shut when the sound of the grinding is low. And one rises up at the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of song are brought low. They are afraid also of what is high, and terrors are in the way. The almond tree blossoms, which is God waiting on his word. The grasshopper drags itself along, and desire fails, because man is going to his eternal home, and the mourners go about the streets before the silver cord is snapped, or before the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher is shattered at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. So when we consider this, excuse me, it's been a long morning. When we consider this, when we think about it, that essentially, what was I going to say? We were just reading. But yeah, so God has mercy upon the unjust and the just, right? So he has mercy on us all to a degree, because he gives us life each day. He opens the eyes of those who are ungrateful for what they have. He opens the eyes of those who reject him or curse him and shout, profanities about his name or blaspheme his name. He gives grace and mercy, and he seeks that none should perish. That's what his desire is, that all will come into repentance. And it's the passage of Jonah, when we see Jonah at the end, and God says to him, should I not have mercy upon this nation, right? Should I not have mercy upon these people who don't know the right hand from the left? Of course. And so therefore we see that that's God's attitude towards the sinner, is that he seeks that they would repent. And there's this, I guess, this countdown that sort of happens with these events that are coming, and that countdown sort of implies there's no more time, like time is up. And because time is up, the real reality sets in, and people start to feel, they'll start to look at their own sin. And when he arrives, when everything goes dark, there's going to be terror. That's what it describes. It's going to be terrifying. So those who are there in that moment, when they see him coming on the clouds and the sign of him coming, it's going to be terror. The righteous, those who are in the faith that are still there at that time or still standing, they'll be joyful. But those who aren't, they'll be terrified, as we see. I'm actually going to leave it there, because I've just looked at the time. So I'll leave it there, and we might pick up from 12 when we read tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Thanks for reading with us, and thanks for supporting the channel. Just a small read this morning after a big study and a big morning preparing that study. All right. God bless, and Maranatha.